Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Katta Mapes joining us here, the owner of Creating Conscious Connections from Tucson, Arizona. She joins us live today on the podcast and Zoomcast to talk more about her work as an intuitive life coach, a teacher, writer, and consultant, and so much more. Welcome back. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, a little under the weather. Got a bad cold, but I'm getting through it, and I hope you're feeling okay.
I am, I can't complain. This is when I love living in Tucson. You have beautiful weather, beautiful skies.
Oh, well, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, I am an intuitive life coach. And what that means is I basically say that I call on the wisdom of the sages from throughout the ages. And so I combine my counseling experience and my spiritual practices and experience into an intuitive life coach. Now, a lot of people call themselves life coaches, and that is like a very broad type of description of what I as a school counselor, I never chose to become a licensed counselor, although I could have. Excuse me. But when someone comes to see me in person or on Zoom, in English or in Spanish, basically my goal is to find out what they want, what they need, and find ways to help them achieve that, both in their mundane life, daily life, and so forth, as well as looking into some other areas through tarot cards or oracle cards, numerology, and dowsing. I combine all of those intuitive arts to find out what might be most helpful for the person.
Got it. Well, sometimes you just know, hence your intuitiveness, and your approach really, you say, is designed to nurture your social, emotional, and spiritual well-being, right?
Yeah, exactly. So with that, I've worked with children, youth, and adults. And of course, when I was in a school, I couldn't add into the spiritual or transpersonal part. But I knew that when I connected with each student, that I tried to connect on a higher level, not just the basic mundane. I call mundane level what some people call the three-dimensional world. Now there's a lot of talk about us evolving and morphing into a fifth dimensional world. And I'm not honestly very sure exactly what that means, but there is a sense among many people that as a human race, we are evolving and moving to a higher level of understanding and consciousness and awareness. So I tap into that when I can.
Oh, well, we love it. Your whole physical and spiritual approach is just helping so many people, and you're offering guidance and insight. Let me ask you now, during the holidays, I just have to know, are you helping a lot more people? I mean, people might need your help now. I feel like this is the season where people could really rely on someone they trust.
Well, certainly I'm available, as I say, also on Zoom, so that people anywhere in the country and actually the world, anyone who speaks Spanish or English,
Yeah.
I can help them in that way, and that is that's part of what I do call the mundane world. It's the everyday
Yep.
world.
Yep.
Worry about family, friends, relationships, careers, and so forth. So overall, I try to help people find insight and balance. Also, maybe looking for patterns over the lifetime of how they have interacted with situations, with people, and so forth, to see from that point of view where they might want to change or do something different. And honestly, I work on this myself too. I actually have a therapist and a hypnotherapist that I'm working with. So I've always thought that a counselor needs a counselor too.
Yeah.
So I as I work on myself, then also that gives me a broader understanding of how other people are doing well.
Yep,
For example,
exactly.
when I was a school counselor, I would meet with parents and talk to them and kind of go over parenting by the book. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I adopted my daughter when I was 48 and she was 7,
Wow.
okay, you can't always go by the book. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
always work that way. So by having that experience, I was in a better position to help other parents. And likewise, with my own work for personal growth and spiritual development as well, I bring that experience of my own growth to the way that I help other people.
Aw. Are you working with anyone now that that you could maybe you're not allowed to talk about it, but I would just love to hear some of the things you're working, with people on specifically.
Well, a lot of times it's like dealing with issues at work, or will they get this job? Or should they change and do something differently? I'd say career is one of the big ones. Certainly relationships, does he love me? Does he not love me? That's,
Mm-hmm.
and then also um, just like making decisions and finding a path forward because some people want to have a sense of purpose in their lives. And so finding a pathway to have greater fulfillment in their lives.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just kind of opening up to options. And just
I
like to do a lot of option thinking so that people can choose what's best for them.
got it. Any paranormal conversation for the day?
Well, that's always integrated into that because, as I said, that I believe I call it spiritual intelligence, is an aspect of the paranormal. In fact, I was just for the Tucson Paranormal Society, we're getting ready to launch a website, and I don't even have a URL for that yet, but I made a list of probably like 50 different topics that are incorporated into paranormal,
Ooh,
which metaphysical and spiritual,
yeah.
which is, alien connections, and then spiritual
Wow.
connections, spirit guides and afterlife, and even urban legends. And then, of course, there's the ghost investigations. And a lot of people just think of the paranormal as ghosts and UFOs and so forth. But I really think if we look at a broad um, definition of the paranormal as basically anything that's unexplained. And so they're finding a lot with quantum physics, for example, things like time travel and travel to other dimensions, communication to other dimensions. There's some investigations into what they call missing 411, where people just disappear. I remember reading many
Jeez.
years ago about a
Wow.
kid who was in Germany and just walking, you could see his
Ah.
steps in the snow, and then they disappeared all of a sudden. So where did he go? So that's like an interdimensional travel. And so I put that basically in the category of quantum everything because quantum physics and other quantum approaches are starting to look at that cross section with spirituality and science and trying to understand and explain things that are perhaps spiritual, but they're trying to explain it in a scientific way. So, and then as I approach my work with people as an intuitive life coach, I mentioned the other day that basically my connection with them has to be my soul connecting with their soul to
Mm-hmm.
find out what I can do to help them the best.
Oh. Well, you're always so eager to help and to be, helpful. Let me just ask, who helps you during this time of year? Do you have your go-to? Do you have someone in your life that you rely on?
Well, I have my spiritual teacher of like 35 years, and
Mm-hmm.
I have some friends who have a broad kind of spiritual aspect. And then I mentioned I have a therapist that I really like, and she's open to all different aspects of I call it psychospiritual, which is the intersection of psychology and spirituality. And then I'm working with a hypnotherapist too, and he is very aware and open to a lot of things beyond just the mundane level, and looking at how our subconscious mind affects our choices and our decisions and emotions as much or more so than our conscious mind. And so
Yeah.
actually, a lot of this has to do with consciousness and being aware of a broader consciousness. And that's why back in 2016, I created Creating Conscious Connections. So that's been about 8 years ago. And now there's a lot of people talking about consciousness and what that
Yep.
means, and then
I've heard
awareness.
it. I've heard of it. People are like, what? Wait, what's going on? But
Yeah.
people are in need of help, especially during this time of year. I always say that. Oh, I know. I apologize. I'm a little under the weather today. My voice is a little off. I
I,
don't feel
yeah,
so good.
I understand. So, uh, see, well, this time of year, besides being the holidays, it's also the end of the year, and that
Yeah.
at certain things, even like taxes and finalizing
Uh,
financial. And then, the end of the semester for families with students, and then the kids are home for maybe 2 weeks, and that's
hmm
a blessing in some ways, but it can also be hard on on the families if both parents are working and so forth. And so the end of the year brings all of that besides just the holidays. But the holidays are also the time of gathering and celebration. People have different ways to celebrate
mm.
religions and different practices.
Oh, what are you going to be doing for the holiday? Where will you be?
Well, I won't be home, but I will be going up to Sholo, which is about 4 hours from here in the White Mountains of northeastern Arizona. And one of the things I'm going to be doing is throwing a little party for my soon-to-be 16-year-old grandson. And
Oh,
so that'll be fun. Well, I haven't met his friends, of course, and since he's been in high school. So I think it'll be fun to do that. We'll see how that
um,
goes. And I'll get to see my 8-month-old granddaughter and 6-year-old grandson and my 14-year-old grandson and my daughter and her husband and so forth. So now, Sholo and the White Mountains is also cold and snowy, kind of like where you are. And since I prefer the heat, I'll just spend a little bit of time there and then come back down where it's warm. And they're invited to come and visit me. However, my daughter has
aw.
several puppies she has to take care of, so it's hard for her to get away right now. But
Well,
they're
it,
the closest ones. I have brothers. I have two brothers and two sisters, but they're scattered all over Maine, South Carolina, Maryland, and Nevada. So I won't be seeing them this holiday.
oh, thank you for sharing that. I'll be home with my kids, local. We live in New York on Long Island. It's not like we're doing anything, but it's just the magic of Christmas for the children is kind of what we do
Yeah,
here, and dinner with the
yeah,
family for sure, you know?
yeah. It's that connection,
Yeah.
deep connection, a time for deeper connection.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I love it. It's exciting though. What else did you want to share for today, Kata?
I think that as we go forth, like I said, there is a sense and a movement for humanity to move ahead, to grow and
Hmm
live, uh, to make the world a better place. Right now, there's so many conflicts going on, and when we think of, well, what can I do? All these things are happening, but I can't go somewhere and stop a war or do something. But I do recommend a process where if you imagine the world with a kind of like a geodesic dome all around the world,
Mm.
with like a grid all the way around the world. And then if we send light and love through that grid to go to all those places in the world and touch the hearts and minds, going back to what I said before, we're all energy. Everything is energy. So we can't stop a war or do something, but we can energetically send out the light and the love to that grid all around the earth so that it will go wherever it's needed. And that's an intention, and that's a prayer, and that's just a way to be able to do something. And if enough people do that, and there's been a lot of research about how when people have the same prayer, the same intention, there
Yep.
is a lot of power there. So if everyone, every day, for example, just thought of this grid around the earth and sent love and light and good energy, that can make a difference, that will make a difference. So I
Oh,
think that's an important practice. Like I said, sometimes we just feel like we can't do anything. And
yeah.
then I mentioned before also that another energetic way to deal with things. Sometimes, the holidays are great, but sometimes there are also, it brings people together and they might have ongoing conflicts or some things that they haven't resolved. So I've also mentioned that just the idea of asking your spirit guides to talk to their spirit guides to see if you can work it out. A long time there were several years ago there was a little commercial with these little cartoon figures, and the one little girl said, "Well, tell your people,
Yep.
like my people," and then she goes, "I ain't got no people."
Oh my gosh, that is so cute.
So, but we do all have people. There's a lot of um, thought around the idea that we all have a guardian angel that's with us all our lives, and we have spirit guides, and we may they're kind of like an intermediary, perhaps, in our connection with a creator and source, the source that we came from. But so we can call on them to help us through difficult times, and even call on them to talk to the spirit guides of whoever's creating conflict in the world, as well as your own conflicts in your own lives. So remembering that we're all energy, and that the greatest thing we can do is send love and light everywhere, to ourselves and everywhere else.
Oh, I love it. It's so true. Light and love, especially this time of year, my goodness. And, with your work here and you're helping, individuals, you also work with couples too?
Yeah, I do. Not as much. It seems more just in general, I've been approached more by individuals than couples. But yeah, I could, because that has to go back to that resolving issues between people.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But I guess individual help is good, if someone out there today is thinking, this is the holidays, this is a depressing time, I don't have anyone, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, remember they're not alone, because they do have spirit guides and other spiritual connections. And then to remember that they're not the only one who feels lonely and alone. So if they can reach out and volunteer to help people or call somebody, make arrangements, reach out. Too often people say, "Well, nobody's calling me." Well, okay, who are you calling? It goes both ways. So sometimes we have to be the ones to reach out, and and just know that they're that important, that connection with others is very important. They say that loneliness is one of the greatest health hazards, and with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we all need to feel like we belong. So sometimes that's exacerbated at this time with the holidays. So reaching out,
Yep.
I mentioned before that creating conscious connections is reaching in and connecting with yourself, reaching out and connecting with others, reaching up and connecting with the divine. So making an effort when you feel lonely or alone to connect in all those different ways can be helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. We got to reach out. And by the way, Kata, how do we reach you? We still have a few more minutes, but just remind everyone.
Yes, well, the best way, because I don't have a website, is to contact me with my email,
Mm-hmm.
and then Katta, Katta, Mapes, Mapes, @gmail.com. My nickname, Katta, my name is actually Kathleen. I'm born on St. Patrick's Day and I'm Irish, but I work with a lot of Spanish-speaking people, and they started calling me Katta, but then I decided to use numerology and spell it a certain way so it would have a certain significance. So I spell it Katta and then .mapes @gmail.com.
Great. Well, what else did you want to share for today? We have just 3.5 minutes left.
So, um, again, I think if we remember, probably the takeaways are, remember, we're all energy, that we can all connect, and we can all connect with our energy as well as our individual mundane lives. But if we take the time to tune in and make an effort to connect with that energy, then we can find more fulfillment in our lives.
And we all can connect through energy, right? We are energy beings. We are energy. People say, when you talk about Reiki and healing, how does that work? Explain to us.
Yep, all about energy.
Yeah.
Acupuncture, acupressure, all the Chinese, qigong, tai chi is all about the energy, moving that energy. And so this is nothing new. It's just building people's awareness about energy.
Yeah, and it's true. Energy healing can help us. And are you a Reiki practitioner?
I've taken a couple levels of
Okay.
Reiki, but it's not something that calls to me. Um, I'm more into the emotional, social aspect of healing than doing practices like energy healing or Reiki.
Oh,
I
well,
have done.
I know we are energy. We're all beings. We're here. It's amazing. And I just feel connected. You got to get connected to life, get grounded and feel, live your best life, right? Because we're here. Wherever it is you believe in, has given us, a certain amount of time, and let's make the best of it and not fight. And the holidays are here and crime, and just learn to love thy neighbor. Simple as that, right?
Yep, exactly. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday, you and your family,
Thank you.
and
Same to you.
y'all be blessed with the best of the holidays.
I've never heard that blessed with the best. I like that. Same here, but hopefully we'll connect again soon. Oh, by the way, do you have a copy of your workbook? Do you want to share that as well?
Well, there's two things. This is the curriculum that I wrote for teachers
There it
and parents
is. Yeah.
for social emotional learning.
Uh-huh.
I have the only remaining copies of this. And then this is available on Amazon, The Big Picture of Life, helping teens and young adults understand what is afterlife and what is the greater reality of our lives and afterlives.
Oh, well, thank you. I love it. Beautiful. I know we got to discuss some of that last time and wishing you all a happy and healthy holiday season. Kata, maybe tell us one more time how we can reach you.
Katta, Katta, Mapes, Mapes, @gmail.com.
Thank you so much. You have a fantastic day, fantastic weekend, and hopefully we'll talk before the holiday, okay?
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye bye to all of our listeners and viewers. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.